I don't know, we don't really go out with the intention of sounding like a particular genre. But yeah, we definitely fall into kind of, it's like a twisted form of folk that's way more energetic and blatantly in your face, but like not in an aggressive way. You know, it's kind of like if you want to listen to punk music, but you don't like being angry, then we're like the good, you know, we're the other side. You know, there's bad religion on one side. Spicy Lemons are sitting in the corner being like, you know, come on guys, let's just smile about it. Somebody's favourite album is never going to be one that's a close replica of like another band. If we set out to try and sound like Green Day, we're going to be the worst Green Day. So people are going to like those albums more. So I'm not going to try and be them. It's being unique and like making something that's true to yourself that I enjoy.
I want to talk about Pearl Jam because you guys, I don't know why, but you seem to have a little bit of beef. In one of your social posts, you said $349.85 less than the cheapest Sydney show Pearl Jam ticket. The night is free entry and arguably features more intelligible lyrics than the vast majority of Pearl Jam's catalogue.
Wow, okay. Social media coordinator Toby Dowder will provide a short statement.
I've got to be perfectly honest. I actually haven't deep dived Pearl Jam too much. I thought it would just be funny to say.
I will just keep talking into it then.
Say, can you yell your answers?
I can project. I mean, I'm not the singer, but I'm somewhat media trained, so that'll work.
No, that's all good.
You have to elaborate on somewhat media trained.
Well, by trade, I'm a freelance sports journalist, so...
Oh, well, then you're definitely media trained.
Yeah.
You're in good company.
What do you cover?
Motorsport journalist, so I work with supercars occasionally, which has been a pretty good ride so far.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is that pun intended?
You know what? Sure. It can be intended, yeah.
It's on brand for him.
So, who are you freelancing for then? Like, do you work for Fox on the TV coverage? Are you doing
So I've just started with supercars.com with their website covering the second tier series. So it's kind of fitting to have a young guy covering the young guys series, I guess you can say, for lack of a better term. But and just sort of wherever I'm needed, I'll go essentially, which is... Yeah, it's good fun. I mean, it's nothing concrete yet, but I mean, it will hopefully lead to something down the line that's a bit more permanent. So, yeah, I mean, I've only been doing it about a bit more than a year and, sort of gone from, to use another pun, 0 to 100 quite quickly. So
you've got the mic technique down, Pat. So if you're ever in front of a camera and you need to do a piece about, you know, a race or anything like that, just looking at you right now, which is no help to our audience listening, but just looking at you. If anyone from supercars.com.au?
Yes, supercars.com.au.
If anyone's listening, I'm giving him 10 points for... Well, how many points do you get for winning a race in the supercars?
Oh, that's a complex question, but we could be here for a very long time.
I follow Formula One a lot more closely, and I know that's 26 for the fastest lap. So we'll give you 26 points for your mic technique.
I'll cop that every day of the week.
It's so funny. I've got so many questions about covering the supercars now, but we're not here for that. I was about to launch into... I have to ask this. Is there a beef? Is there a natural rivalry between supercar people and Grand Prix F1 people? Is there a bit of beef? Or are they just like, you like car races, I like car races?
Oh, I mean, definitely the European scene's a bit more, I think, cultured, and here, I mean, definitely Bathurst is, you know, it's everyone calls it Bogan Christmas, right? Everyone goes up there and buries their cases of beer 6 months beforehand on top of the hill, and next thing you know, it's a bit of a pub brawl, and just, you know, there's a car race on the side if you want to watch that as well. So, but yeah, no, I wouldn't say there's a clash of cultures or a rivalry there. There's just they sort of coexist, I think, in their own separate spheres.
Yeah, cool.
Wouldn't it be funny if this whole thing was set up as a ploy and this is actually a job interview? Just got everyone in on it. We're actually working for supercars.com.au.
100%. Well, yeah, and what's the premiere?
It'll be a Scooby-Doo moment. Rip off the mask.
Yeah. Home who? Nobody. But we should probably get to what we're here for. We are joined by the illustrious company of Spicy Lemons, a band who we actually came into contact with you, Toby. Were you with you guys? No, neither of you were there on the
from memory. If I can just try and test myself. Were you with the Jan guys? Is
I
that who
was,
you were
yeah.
sitting with?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah, great guys, the Jan guys. We did a workshop as part of Tubular Festival run by Central Coast Music and Arts towards the end of last year, and it was how to nail an interview, which we found ironic. But Cam and I were up there, speaking to artists about interviewing and what makes a good interview, what makes a bad interview, etc. And Toby, I remember you in the front because you just had this grin on your face that you have now, and it was like, this guy's has a nice energy to him, and it's continued in. But we finally got you here for a chat, as well as Luke and Zac, who make Spicy Lemon. So welcome to Homebrewed. It's great to have you in, and it's funny that the genesis of our path crossing was how to nail an interview. Watch us ruin it.
Yeah, let's see if I took note. This is the pressure test.
Yeah, so I joked about this being a job interview. Now this is actually a test for you to see how much you're paying attention.
Sit in the exam.
So I
My
hope you've
phone's
come
outside,
prepared.
just so you know.
Yeah, phone on silent. Hope you've taken the notes. You remember your gig dates, and I know we said that any good interviewer would have that in front of them. Let's just forget that we said that, because there might be times this evening where we're like, oh, hang on.
I was going to say, yeah,
we're relying on you to provide us some information.
It's all right. I think I got that one covered. Let's hope.
Very good. Well, we'll start with an easy one then. You did just play in Newcastle last night as of recording this one. How'd that gig go?
Yeah, it's always good fun. I stuck to my true talent of having technical problems, which if anyone who has seen us at any point during our career, it seems to be at least like one in every 2 or 3 shows, something goes awry. And my guitar, about a solid 2 minutes into the gig, just decided to go about half as loud as it originally did. And it just kept
2
flicking in
minutes.
and out for like the entire set, which was really
Was it
awesome.
a dodgy cable or something?
Yeah, we swapped the cable.
Okay.
Did a full little onstage test. The sound guy kind of looked at me and shrugged and went, "Yeah, I don't know."
That's not what you want from the sound guy.
when
is
the
it?
guy who should know how to fix it doesn't, you're in trouble.
Yeah, it was something, but no, we got through. It was good fun.
Well, I always joke with Toby. Well, I joked with him after the show. I was like, the night that you don't have anything go wrong with your guitar, Luke and I are going to have no idea what to do, because we are very good at riffing while you are busy figuring out whatever it is you're doing, which is usually sourcing a guitar which doesn't have a busted string on it. But so it was nice that you had a different problem last night. But no, I mean, Luke made some new friends, which was always great, wasn't it, Luke?
Yeah, that lady made a lot of friends. We'll just say that.
No, I mean, the
must
Hammers.
elaborate
I was going to
now.
say,
Yeah.
You have to.
We saw this lady pretty much just walking halfway through our set, and she just went straight up the front and started dancing anyway. And then I see her like making rounds to just all these different people, and she's talking. I thought she knew them or something, but she didn't. And she came up after the set and just started talking to us, and she was like, "What did she say? Oh, I need a microphone or something." I didn't normally. I have backing vocals as well, but we're just like, "Oh, bugger, it'll be right." And then that's all she said. That's pretty
She
much it.
gave Luke about a 5-minute lecture on why he should have a microphone.
So
Yeah.
as the lead singer, do you take that as a compliment, or do you take a little bit of offense to that she's just begging for someone in the back to have a microphone?
Yeah. Oh no, it was honestly, I thought it was quite funny because Luke is renowned for being like the quiet one on stage, where Luke hates it. I put him sometimes like just on the spot. Like we when we played at Drifters one time, I remember when I was having guitar problems again, which is so fun. I said to the crowd, while I'm doing this, Luke's going to look really handsome for you all. And Luke hates being in that moment. Afterwards, he was like, "You bastard."
Well, that's where it's great to hide up the back behind a drum kit. You're not a target, so that's always nice.
Well, that's it. Half answer my next question. So, Zac, your drums?
For about 6 months a year, I'm drums. Yeah.
What about the other half?
The other half, Toby met another drummer when he was at the Grove Studios when you were doing your TAFE course.
Yeah, Harry Duff, his name is, and he plays in Cardboard Castles. From Newcastle. He's a really lovely guy, and yeah, pretty much it's like Zac has always drummed with us from the start, but when he's off in Canberra studying and everything, we have to, obviously keep going as a band, and Harry just jumps in seamlessly and he does his thing, and it, picks up on the same kind of energy of us, same kind of wicked sense of humour. And it's just great fun, We just keep going all year round, swap around here, there, everywhere. We knew he was a perfect fit, actually. It's when we did our first rehearsal with him. And I had slept in that morning and he rocked up at the door and I think I was still in my pajamas, to be honest. It wasn't a great first impression from me. And anyways, he's setting up the drum kit and I said to him, just while you're doing that, I'm going to go brush your teeth. And he looked at me and went, yeah, good, because your breath stinks. I was like, this is the guy. We've got him.
That's bold.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. I was like, yep, this is it.
Thank you very much.
I want to touch on the broken strings and guitars thing. So are you a little bit like a tennis player who just carries 50 rackets? Like, do you need to have multiple guitars with you or are you literally like hoping that the band before or after you can borrow one of their guitars?
Oh, see, I would love to be as prepared as that. And I do own a guitar that I bought recently to replace the other one that I broke. Just all the electrics died in it halfway through another gig at the same venue actually as last night, which is really ironic. That venue's got it out for us.
I was going to say sabotage.
Yeah, something's going on. We need to check that place. But I had a lovely little pink guitar and it was awesome. I loved it. And then, it died, so I just bought a new one. We try and have a backup when we can, but at the moment, all of our backups are out of action, which is wild.
And it's hard because I feel like backup that's really, really well paid. This is my career musician stuff. And unfortunately, you guys are not there yet, but I trust you're on your way. But even just to think, I'll just bring a spare guitar that's probably worth thousands of dollars or whatever as well, or a whole spare kit, that must add up in terms of the cost of gear you're carrying around, and then you've got to cart it as well.
Yeah, it adds up quick, that's for sure. And I always feel so bad as well if I do. Like, I try and push through where I can with our own equipment, but sometimes it gets to a point where I can't finish the songs, because Luke's playing a banjo and, my guitar fills in the bass sound as well. So if I bust a low string, it's kind of like we lose a guitar and the bass all in one hit and it's just banjo and drums. So it gets to a point where I have to look at the other bands and be like, I know you just watched me destroy part of my instrument, like in front of your own eyes, but now can I use yours?
Yeah, it's not very, if I'm coming on after you and this is my only guitar that I have and I require that for my set, I've just seen you destroy your guitar. I'm not really full of confidence to go, no worries, mate. Just borrow it, no problem.
Yeah, that's
like, I'm gonna need a deposit first.
No, that's the thing. Like, I completely get it too when people are like, I'm not too sure. And thankfully, we've had some lovely people who have been willing to help us out. But on the same note, it's pretty bold of them to be. We've played a few shows where I've gone through 3 strings like in a single go. And it's just kind of like.
At least strings are easier to carry in a guitar bag than a whole other guitar.
They certainly are. It's the electrical problems that are the big ones. They're And like, I don't go out there with the intention of breaking a guitar. It's not like I'm in the Who or something and I just like smashing them. Not my thing, but something just goes wrong. I think it's probably the fact that I buy everything off Gumtree.
Yeah, it's commendable though. You're doing your sustainable upcycling stuff. That's good.
Exactly. See, I'm just doing my community bit.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. I was at a gig last week. It was an American band, Bonnie Doon. They were in Sydney. It was their first time they'd landed that day. And halfway through they went, and thanks to, I can't remember who the supporter was, not because I don't remember the name, we just didn't get there in time, for lending us all your gear. And I realised I was pretty sure the whole band was playing using their instruments. And I was like, wow, like, I suppose that would happen, but that's your baby. Like, and then you're handing it to this American band that's just rolled in, fresh off the flight. You don't know how they're going to go with it.
Can you hear that muffle?
Yeah, I can.
I think it's your mic, because your mic and it disappeared. So I don't know whether it's a cable or what.
Damn, we brought on a technical issue, Curse.
It's all your fault.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
Seriously, your fault.
I'm thinking at this point I need like it's like a spiritual help thing I need, not a technical help.
So you need to engage like a witch doctor.
Yeah.
I do love that happened while we were discussing.
Yeah, that's so good.
Comedic timing.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, this is probably something typically I would edit out, but given the circumstances.
Yeah, surely a bit of it stays in,
Definitely. How's that?
We're back.
Better.
We're back.
Back.
Look
Excellent.
at that.
You love it. Okay.
Yeah, that was basically the Spicy Lemons gig experience. That was it. You've just experienced it. Didn't even see us play.
And for those listening, there you go. That's what's going to a Spicy Lemons gig is exactly like. Technical issues, good banter, good chat. The only thing we were missing was any instruments.
Yeah. maybe in that sense, it's maybe, yeah, that's the thing. It's just the good vibes.
I hope we haven't scared people off then who haven't come and seen us yet.
No, this is a nice treat for our listeners because they can experience something like this and then go, that's what I want. Therefore, I'm going to go to a gig. If they're still listening right now, obviously they were endured it or they just happened to skip that part happily.
No, we will say we have the metrics that we get from our podcasting aggregator thing says that our listeners are very dedicated. They listen through. So you based on statistics, the listeners are still listening and they're probably buying tickets to your next gig.
And if they're not,
amazing,
we'll come and blame you.
Yep.
You've ruined our analytics.
Yeah, we probably broke that too, to be honest.
Specifically directed at Toby because every technical problem's his fault.
Yeah.
But if
That
we could,
smiling assassin in the front row.
The smile, that's all the guys.
it is smiling assassin. If we can jump out of the technical issue aspects of your gig, and I want to talk about how you guys actually play, right? Because you're a three-piece. You mentioned that there's banjo in the mix. It's a really interesting, fun blend of. Well, I'll let you describe your sound because I, in one of our Who's Who articles a couple of weeks ago, I wrote about it, and I did my best to describe it as, funnily enough, the hardest thing is to actually describe what genre I think a band is. I had banjo-infused, I think, alt rock or something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty
Australian
good.
punk you had.
Okay, I had punk in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Banjo-infused Australian punk or something like that.
Yeah, I reckon that's pretty close. Yeah. We're kind of, I don't know, we don't really go out with the intention of sounding like a particular genre. But yeah, we definitely fall into kind of, it's like a twisted form of folk that's way more energetic and blatantly in your face, but like not in an aggressive way. You know, it's kind of like if you want to listen to punk music, but you don't like being angry. And we're like the good, you know, we're the other side. You know, there's bad religion on one side. Spicy Lemons are sitting in the corner being like, you know, come on guys, let's just smile about it.
That's such a good description. I love that. That's so fun. And how did it come about in terms of this collection of people in you three, and also the instrumentation, and like who went, let's chuck a banjo in the mix? Did you have a banjo background prior to this?
Yeah, so my my mum's side, my grandparents, they're from Ireland, and so I started playing the violin when I was young, and they kind of got me into Irish music, and then I fell in love with the banjo, and then we met at school. Toby and I were in the same class, started music together, and then Zach's obviously Toby's brother. So we just started playing together, and then we never used to play with the banjo like in the bands, but then one time we're just like, why not, let's just give it a go, something different. And then it kind of worked, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was like I've thought about that in hindsight, being like what was the moment that we decided that was a thing? And I think it was more the fact that you enjoyed playing the banjo so much. It wasn't so much a let's try and make a weird song with banjo. It was more let's just play our favourite instruments.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't so much a conscious decision of being like, let's be the weird folk band. It was like, no, let's just, you know, you like playing banjo. Why are you playing the bass right now?
Not that folk is weird. Because
no.
A lot of people listen would enjoy folk.
I adore folk.
Yeah.
So does Luke.
Just so we don't get any angry replies.
No letter bombs.
Just covering the ground there.
I apologise if that came across the wrong way. We are all in support of folk music. Yeah, Luke's a National Folk Festival frequenter.
Wow, that was good alliteration.
So two things I want to pick up from that. One, you said obviously brothers. I don't think it's obvious looking at it. Like honestly, you said that and I've not listened to what you said afterwards because I was too focused on assessing. I was like, the nose is similar, but that's all that I can really pick up on.
I've got a good story on this one actually. We Zach and I, like, we've played pretty much in the same bands all through high school because he was the drummer of the school and I was the bass player of the school at that point. And nobody else really played a bass guitar. And nobody else really had a rhythm. So pretty much any band that formed were like, let's get those two. And we were in a band called Southern Consonants. We had been like playing with the guys in the band for about, it would have been months at this point. And then one of them overheard us saying something about being brothers. And they were like, wait, are you related that makes so much sense why you kept saying we'll practice when we go back to yours or like go back to each other's house. They're like, why do they keep going to each other's place? Like, what's going on here?
That's you like in cahoots as the two school bassist and drummer.
Yeah, they just did not pick up on the fact that we were related.
It's just like we're the Gorican High School version of Bert and Ernie. No one really knows if they're related or not. But yeah, no, it's weird though that you bring that up because it's either people like straight away are like, oh yeah, you two are brothers, you can see it, and then like yourself, it's like I could not tell
Even
until
your hair's different.
See, I reckon I can see it. I didn't know it, but as soon as you said it, Luke, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
See, yeah, that's the thing. So many people
really
like
off.
don't see it at all, but then like I can get into Zach's phone with Face ID, and I've never put my own face in before.
Wow.
But like I don't think we look similar.
That's hectic. I've never considered that as a sibling.
Yeah.
thing to do.
I hate it too. By the way, it's awful.
The second thing I want to bring up on that is on the banjo. So you said you started playing the violin and then you've obviously progressed onto the banjo. This ties into what we're chatting with Joel Leggett a couple of podcasts ago. Joel Leggett, his mum plays the violin, and I said my toxic trait was that I think I would be able to pick up the violin and play note. Like you'd go, oh yeah, he's playing the violin, as opposed to it sounding like cats fighting or something. Yeah. But as someone who's played the banjo and the violin, what is the harder instrument to play?
Oh, 100% the violin.
Okay.
I mean,
You're still in with the chance, Cam.
No, because I even look at the banjo and I think it seems very similar to a guitar because the background is I can play guitar. I'm not just going, I can play the violin. Like I can play guitar. So I'm like, oh, there's a bit of translation there. Different, obviously, but there's a bit of translation. The banjo, there seems like there's more translation, but it's a lot more picking, like finger picking and that sort of stuff. And that's not my strength with guitaring. It's more strumming, which is why I thought maybe the violin was a better transition.
yeah, I think that the hardest thing with violin is just like being in tune because like, I mean, you got no frets like a banjo or guitar.
Yes.
But just like the intonation.
I
like,
would struggle.
I really want us to do this as content. I really want to like get a professional violinist, maybe the one that played for Victory. We'll fly her up to the Central Coast.
Is that a violin?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should do homebrewed music lessons. That would be awesome. Just
And then
like
go-
each week.
Well, you want to learn piano. I want to learn violin now, apparently.
just do
So
How about by the end of the year, you'll record a track. But throughout the year, you need to learn the instruments.
That's a nice little
That
challenge.
is a fun challenge. I like that you're setting it.
The smiling assassin setting us up to
I've
fail.
struck again.
Yeah. I mean, we like at the end of the year, we'll have something. Like it might not be good, but we'll have something. Because when we did the transition to like off radio into podcast, we're like, all right, we need new music, right? For the podcast. And we're like, okay, we'll see if a local band like would be keen to make one for the pod or whatever. And we just didn't really know how to approach that. We didn't really want to not pay them and et cetera, et cetera. So Cam's just jumped on, what program did you
It was
use?
GarageBand.
And made up what is our podcast music now, which I think is good. Like, I'm not knocking it at all, but
If we can add
we
some-
could make a piano violin infused podcast intro song, it would either see listeners plummet or we become listened to by even more millions.
But back to the banjo. So what age did you start playing the banjo?
2014. How was that then? What am I?
You would have been 10.
10 years ago.
Wow, that's
Oh, yeah,
when I
gee,
graduated
yeah.
high school.
So 10. I started playing 10. At the age 10.
I started playing 10 banjo.
He was playing the hit album 10 from Pearl Jam.
It's funny you mentioned Pearl Jam. I want to get back to that in a minute. But so what age were you playing violin?
Oh, I started young, maybe like 5. I don't remember exactly what age, but
Can you still play? I'm trying
Really?
to find out how I can get my lessons.
I stopped quite a few years ago. I couldn't love the violin as I do the banjo, but
That's so poetic.
It is.
I just wasn't my favorite instrument. But if I pick it up again, like I can pull it through a few notes together. Oh, not bad, but like not great.
He talks about it as if it's not that great. I've heard him record violin within the last 2 years. Like, you know, he can play that thing.
And what I'm also finding funny, again, this is not good for audio medium, but looking at you guys sitting on the couch, you're in a Bunnings jumper, banjo, tick, violin. It's a bit harder to picture in your current aesthetic.
It's popular with electricians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They like it.
Could we expect ever to see a violin cameo in a Spicy Lemons song?
I don't reckon it would be too far-fetched, to be honest. We've got some, like, a couple of the new songs we've been working on, even like Little Victory, which is one that we've just recently written. It's quite like a bit of a twisted folk number. And I reckon violin would be really cool in that. It's got like this intro that starts as a waltz and then it just gets really intense and heavy and then breaks out into like a almost, I don't even know how to describe it well in a verbal way, but like it's kind of like a jazzy punk song.
It's a good way to sell your music. You know what I mean? If anyone listening, you're going to have to wait till this. I mean, when we release this, I don't think the track will be released if you're in the writing stages still. So you're just going to have to wait for Spicy Lemons to release it to hear what they're talking about, which is cool. It's cool. You shouldn't be able to describe music entirely because that's not how it works.
Yeah, very true. It's always a challenge, that's for sure. There's a lot of thought that goes into it, and I swear every time I write something to send off to a promoter, I describe our genre differently. It never stays the same.
And in terms of where you're at now, so the latest release we had from you was Matt's Place, which was really, really cool song. I just thought it was just such a hug your mates kind of song, which I think
I liked that description.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
I read that and I was, I was like, I'm happy with that. That's cool.
You can steal that for the next press release to when you promote.
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. We will. We will.
Creative Commons, you have free use.
Amazing.
But yeah, tell us about that track because it was something of a departure from your previous stuff in a way. It was still Spicy Lemons, but it was definitely a little bit different. And it was your first single since 2022, I think, Garage Days.
Yeah, it would have been. So yeah, Garage Days, we released that when we were still in high school, that one. Yeah, this new song, Matt's Place. Matt is a really close friend of ours. He was in the same year as Luke and I in high school. And we, originally when we made the little banjo riff for that song, that was recorded in a voice memo from 2019 or something crazy. I started playing guitar when I got into high school with the sole purpose of writing music and making a band. So it was I was learning to play alongside Luke. And this little thing was just to improvise. We were sitting on a lounge in my back room at the house and we just played this little, chord progression, little melody. We're like, that sounds cool, let's record it. And then just never listened to it again. And it would have been 2022 or 2023. We were going through all the old recordings. We're like, there's something in that. It sounds so nostalgic and it reminds us of these, the old times of our friend group. So we thought we'd write the song about the old parties of our friend group and bring in that, just completely go over the top with celebrating the easygoing joy of it all.
I think you nailed the energy around it of going to a mate's place and getting that whole high school vibe around it as well, because as Eamonn said, it was 10 and 11 years ago now that we left high school, which is weird because it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but I can still, I also did music in high school and, just some of the, if you have a free period, it was the best thing ever because you just got to hang out with your mates and that sort of stuff and just, that light, nothing's weighing me down sort of thing that you have in those sorts of experiences, if you're lucky enough for that to be a high school experience. I know it's not for everybody, but thankfully it was my experience and it was, a very fun time compared to now where you've got a mortgage or rent and cost of living and all these other things to worry about that you don't have to worry about when you're 16, 17.
Exactly. That's even one of the first lyrics of it was had my mum drop me off because I'm 4 years off my P's.
Yeah.
And it's just it was that whole thing of just, it was so easy. We at the time you always think your life's so busy, which I guess happens every time. Each year you go through high school, you're like, oh, I'm so busy at the moment, but that's just because you're adding a little thing more from what you had the previous year. When you look back on it, that was such a fun time, and we were all free. We didn't have jobs. We could all be at catch-ups.
Yeah.
And,
I was recently reminiscing about this. So my best mate lives in Canada. And he was recently over for a few weeks and we had a weekend just the guys, and we were playing Xbox. We were, doing all these things, and I was like, man, remember when this was our life? Like, this is what we got to do every afternoon. Like, what happened?
I know. Yeah.
You'd go on Call of Duty and look at the amount of time you'd spent playing the game, and it was in multiples of days. Like, I don't know. I do not have the time I wouldn't have the time to play that much Call of Duty now, even if I really, really tried. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The song, it captures that universal feeling really, really well, I think. And it's I don't know, when I heard it, I was like, oh, yes, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, it captures that feeling across everybody. That is kind of, that's relative, of course, but you know what I mean. It's got that universal feeling to maybe young Australians, and it was very Australian too, which I liked about it too. Is that intentional? I always wonder that with bands, because we have local Australian bands who, can sometimes sing with an accent or sound more international, and I understand why that is. It's for appeal and all of that kind of stuff. And then when I hear Australian bands, you're an Aussie band, I really like it, because it's like you're being very Australian. And I often wonder, is that something that's intentional as an act that you set out to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much intentional of the way that we're correcting what we do to make it sound Australian, but me personally, and I know Zac's quite similar, we listen to a heavy amount of Australian music. I remember one year when you get your Spotify stats back and everything, I was 90% Australian music or something. And I've liked Australian music. It's got a kind of unique sound to it, where it's got elements of what comes in from England and elements of what comes in from America. That's kind of twisted in our own little way. And it never ends up quite sounding exactly the same. And yeah, even when you listen to some of our older recordings, I don't feel like I sing with my own voice. But I remember I'm a massive fan of Ben Folds, which is a great time to mention an artist that's not Australian. But anyways, he has an amazing book. I remember him talking about the process of when he decided to sing, because I don't consider myself a singer, but a lot of my favourite singers are people who weren't professionals and they just gave it a go. I adore Peter Garrett from Midnight Oil. They're massive inspiration. Dave McCormack from Custard. All these Australian artists who just gave it a red hot crack. And I read in this Ben Folds book, him saying that he originally advertised for a singer for Ben Folds 5. But when he recorded his voice on the demos to send to the singers, he realised he wanted his own stories told in his voice. And I think that's what I think should be the way. If I'm writing a story, especially one like Matt's Place that's it's personal and it's got our own little anecdotes in it, it should be told by ourselves with our own voice and not trying to make it sound like someone else for the sake of commercialization or anything. Just more so the honesty of it, because at the end of the day, that's what people hear. It doesn't sound quite right when you try and mimic, to me anyways. Some bands nail it, but I personally don't like trying to mimic because I'm not a great actor.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, it's kind of similar to what Toby said, obviously growing up in the same household and listening to all that Australian...
Wait, are you brothers?
Yeah. Oh, really? Did you not know?
It's crazy.
Wow, I've just put that together.
Yeah, but no, I know Midnight Oil was the first ever band that our mum put us onto, and I know they were the first band I ever truly fell in love with, and probably now they're still my favourite ever band to listen to, and also to have gone and seen 3 times, which is a pretty incredible privilege to see, even however many years after they really hit their true peak, and they were still absolutely mind-blowing as a live act. And I know for me that was kind of a really big inspiration. It's like, oh wow, this is what I want to be if I ever do play music. This is the sort of energy I want to bring to a live show. And we've got such a amazing Australian music history that a lot of people look back on very fondly, and a lot of musicians also look back on very fondly and sort of use as inspiration. And I don't think we're too different, in all honesty.
I think as a little summary note on that, actually, I think it's a lot of the spirit of Australian music that's cool. It's a lot of people, there's so much of a just give it a go attitude that I think is awesome, because that's all the stuff I enjoy listening to. As a strange personal preference, I prefer to listen to a singer who's not quite in tune and not quite hitting all the massive high notes and doing something impressive, but it just feels very genuine and honest.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool.
I also resonate with what you said about those who are just a little bit off key, because I think there's something in that. I mean, it's very punkish, isn't it? To challenge the norms of music in one way or another in how you deliver it. And I like it when artists will come vocally or have chord progressions or anything of that nature where they just do something that deviates from how people think a song should be. That's the aura of Spicy Lemons in a sense.
Yeah, I was going to say that's very much how we fall into punk music. That's like, it doesn't, in my mind, punk isn't about being angry. It's about just doing it your own way and not exactly sticking to what you expect people want. You know, like if we were doing what we expected people wanted, it'd be 4-chord songs with no banjo, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but it's just, that's not fun for us. Like, we'd get pretty sick of that pretty quick. So we just do what we think's fun. We play covers people don't know, you know? We like just write songs that go for too long and do too many weird things. But that's what, you know, we enjoy that.
And I want to get back to the Peter Garrett Midnight Oil. You said that was probably the first band you fell in love with. It was an inspiration to you guys. What was it in particular, if you can pinpoint it, that sort of really drew you to them?
The dancing, surely it's the dancing.
Oh, the dancing is like, that's a good draw card straight off the bat. I think what I love about the Oils is like, yeah, it's their energy, and they just like, there's a quote, I think it was John Butler who said it. It was like, Midnight Oil walk out on stage like they're going to war. And that's so true. Like, that was the first concert Zac and I ever went to, and I was 13 at the time. And like, you know, the lights are all dim, it's kind of red lit, and you just see Peter Garrett's tall, lanky figure coming out on stage. And then as soon as it hit, like they did Redneck Wonderland as their first song, which if you've ever heard of it, it just goes absolutely crazy. And I just remember like the band came in, it hit, lights came on, Peter Garrett's going wild on stage. And it was just like the musicianship was amazing, the visuals were amazing, but they also go out with such a cause too. The reason I wanted to play a bass was because of their second album, Head Injuries. The bass lines on the song Stand in Line just absolutely blew my mind. And I was like, I need to pick up an instrument with strings. So if it wasn't for that album, I probably wouldn't play guitar.
So what I found funny from that answer is because I asked the question with one thought in mind and you've completely said the opposite. So you've just said how you were so inspired by them because they were, you know, their incredible live show, they're like a perfect epitomization of what you wanted to be. But the reason I asked the question was I thought maybe because they weren't, you know, a quote unquote perfect band, you know, Peter Garrett's vocals aren't necessarily a textbook lead singer vocals. The band, you know, in terms of what we're saying with punk, how it's a little bit left of field and nothing's, you know, perfect in sync. There's always little bits and pieces here. I thought maybe that might have been what drew you to it, and those, you know, would almost liken it to, I've heard Will Anderson, Australian comedian, talking about he wasn't inspired by the best comedians at open mic nights. He was inspired by the worst comedians because he thought, well, I'm better than at least 3 of those guys. So why not get up and give it a crack? And I'm not saying you look at Midnight Oil and go, oh, I could do that. But like there would always be an element of inspiration because they're not perfect and polished, and let's give that a go, as you were saying
Yeah,
before.
that was actually part of it for me when we first started as a band. For a long while there, we were tossing up, do we get a singer or not? And then I listened to all those bands I love, you know, Midnight Oil, Custard, Ben Folds, all these like, you know, people who don't consider themselves singers. And I was like, no, we've got this sorted. Let's just do it our way. Like, it's such a close friendship that it felt like we were going to be compromising something to bring someone we weren't familiar with into the group, which might be a closed-minded way of going about it, but I think we've done pretty all right with it. Like we've
the
had
proof's
fun.
in the pudding, I think, with you guys, for sure.
And I feel like music's kind of one of those things where, like, yeah, sure, you can be perfect if you want to be, but then sure, it might sound amazing. It might not sound amazing. You don't really know, but it's sort of one of those things where you can kind of literally get a band of misfits together and create something that's, you know, really awesome and the best time of your life. And what was our first line of merch, our first stickers? This is fun and we're not even doing it properly.
Yeah, that's what we had written on it. Yeah, Luke said that to me once in the music room at school when he was having to go on a little drum pad. But yeah, I think my philosophy with it all, I've got one line that I stick to, and I think it's a lot of my decisions are based off it, where it's somebody's favorite album is never going to be one that's a close replica of like another band. If we set out to try and sound like Green Day, we're going to be the worst Green Day. So people are going to like those albums more. So I'm not going to try and be them. I want it's being unique and like making something that's true to yourself that I enjoy. Even like, we early on, we were talking about cover songs and we were like, every young band loves Silverchair and all those. And then we were like, yeah, but see, we're just going to sound like shit Silverchair. We're not going to be them. So let's not do that. Yeah. Timber at best.
Well, I mean, like you say that. I mean, we do try to be the best spicy lemons, but there is a German one that we haven't heard about in quite a while.
Is there really?
Another spicy lemon?
Their account dropped off the face of YouTube, so I think we won. I think we won. Yeah.
100%.
It's like the Battle of Britpop, but 10 times better.
With like 10 spectators at most.
Spicier lemons then.
Yeah.
It's funny because that's not the first time we've interviewed someone. In this very short time of doing podcasts, and there's been a band name conflict with another one. There was two Smart Casuals as well. We spoke to Asha, and she's also in a band with her brother called Smart Casual, and there's two Smart Casuals.
I found the other Smart Casual too after that conversation. Not intentionally. They just popped up and I was like, oh, that's Ash's. And then I clicked on it and I was like, oh, it's not. It's the other Smart Casual.
I accidentally tagged them in a post instead of the actual Smart Casual. But while we're throwing around other band names, I want to talk about Pearl Jam because you guys, I don't know why, but you seem to have a little bit of beef with Pearl Jam, and this will come on to a gig that we'll promote as well. But in one of your social posts, you said, on June 29th, we're taking to the Long Jetty Hotel for the first Rough Diamonds night alongside mates Brandon Duff, good friend of the show. We've still left him in the ceiling at Coast FM. We should probably let him know we're not there anymore.
We need to get Brandon.
This is us now. This isn't in your post.
Brendan, send us a message if you need help.
But you're playing with Brandon Duff and psych rock legend Shacked. You said at $349.85, less than the cheapest Sydney show Pearl Jam ticket. The night is free entry and arguably features more intelligible lyrics than the vast majority of Pearl Jam's catalogue.
Wow, okay.
Social media coordinator Toby Dowdle will provide a short statement.
I'd like to address the press.
As a journalist.
There's the media train. I like it.
I would like to sincerely apologise for my actions. No,
You do not want to apologise. That is absolute BS.
I've got to be perfectly honest. I actually haven't deep dived Pearl Jam too much. I thought it would just be funny to say. I've kind of listened to the hits, and I'm not saying that they're a bad band. They're just not my thing. But I knew that it was actually really funny that you mentioned that because somebody messaged the account, like following up on that. So what are your thoughts on Pearl Jam? And I was like, I haven't I haven't gone too far into them, to be honest. But like $350 is wild for a nosebleed section ticket. And he goes, yeah, they're my favourite band. I get it. And like, and all this stuff. I was like, oh no.
Because you could unleash an army on you, but I think it'd be really fun and great gig promotion if you could push that to the point where Pearl Jam felt compelled to respond.
Yeah, so true.
These guys are calling us out, and you're like, yeah, we'll come check us out, Long Jetty Pub 29th.
And then you get to support them, and it's come around full circle.
Yeah, exactly.
You can break one of their guitars.
Yeah, so true. I just thought it was so funny though. Like, I actually didn't think about it too much, to be honest. I just wrote it and was like, yeah, that's pretty funny. Zach will get a kick out of that, and I sent it off. Yeah, but in all fairness, though, $350.
It's a lot.
For a nosebleed section for one of the world's biggest bands.
I feel
kind
strongly.
of just like boosts the problem with concerts at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't they make it more accessible for people? That genuinely annoys me. The band themselves, that's cool. That's annoying.
When the Rolling Stones did it, and they're like, man, you guys are so rich. And even the Taylor Swift stuff, and I know there's so many people that want a cut of that pie when they're doing those tours. But the ticket, you are a multi-millionaire, billionaire even. It's like, you don't need the money, mate. You should be selling tickets cheaper than anyone else is. But of course, supply, demand, prices.
yeah.
But I just disagree with them just gouging as much as they can on their way through when they've already got so much money from making music.
Well, the private jets don't fuel themselves, mate.
That's correct. That's correct. It's very expensive fuel too.
It's so like reverse to the original concept of grunge. That's what blows my mind. Like, to be a grunge icon, all of the people that, all the young bands that have started listening to their albums, they're doing their free shows and they're doing all all their little backyard parties and things, trying to build their audience, much like they would have done in a day. And then for them to go, we're coming back, $350 if you want to see us as a dot on the stage.
How much is their front row? Did you look into that?
Oh, I'm
just
didn't look
curious.
too far. It got ridiculous.
I'm assuming it'd be at least 500 or something.
Yeah.
If it's 350 right at the top, I'm just imagining it would be that. But I remember Dave Grohl, lead singer of the Foo Fighters, who was also in Nirvana, listening to his audiobook, and he mentioned in that when Nirvana became very popular and they were on MTV and they went from playing small pubs to being asked to do arenas and that sort of stuff, that's like Kurt Cobain could not comprehend that, and he was very against the motion of being popular. He goes, no, that's not what we set out to do with Nirvana. We wanted to be, outside the box. We wanted to be alt to anything that was popular. And then all of a sudden they were the ones that was popular, and it really sort of, messed with, I guess, his identity in a sense as well. Where Pearl Jam, obviously, we have no beef with them, but I'll add a bit of beef. They obviously have no issue with that identity now, charging $350 for a nosebleed ticket.
Yeah, it blew my mind, to be honest, because people had been telling me like that the Pearl Jam tickets are crazy, and I never searched the price up. I was just looking for something to say we're cheaper than this.
Yep.
And I was like, hey, I remember somebody mentioning Pearl Jam, and when I got it up, it's like, Jesus Christ, like $350.
I'm just looking now. The only available left are no longer. So there's a golden circle, which is directly in front of the stage. That's not available, so I can't get a price on that. General admission is behind it, standing, also not available. The low tier, quite wide, so you'd be looking at them from the side, $450.
If we're looking at a clock, you're probably at like 11:30 with the stage at 3 o'clock. You're probably 11:30 in this oval, circle-y shaped arena.
That's a good way of describing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a bit more fuel on the fire here at the risk of upsetting more Pearl Jam fans. But for $450, I would say don't buy a Pearl Jam ticket in the nosebleeds. Go to an Aussie festival and support a large number of Australian artists, vendors, everything. Go
100%.
Spend your money doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, for
definitely.
sure. That's the thing. I was reading an article about that recently that was put out by Triple J, and they were saying the increased international touring, cost of living crisis. Everyone's saving all of their money to go see that one really big band.
Yep.
And all of the Aussie bands are now at the detriment of that. So there's a lot of Aussie bands and venues that are closing and everything, and bands that are stopping touring because they just can't afford it anymore.
We spoke about this might have been our first music news in this new format about Pink coming over and selling out. Taylor Swift obviously sold out. Foo Fighters sold out. Like all the, as you were just saying, international acts coming over and selling out. Meanwhile, you've got Aussies who can't sell out an arena or, a purpose-built show. They have to cancel gigs, all that sort of stuff going on.
What I do love, though, is the recent Gadinsky's rule. Did you hear about this one coming in?
Yeah,
We also covered that.
Yeah,
It might have been that
was
same
what we were covering.
news, yeah.
That was, to have an Australian band on every international lineup that comes into the country, and to have the same access to quality of staging and performance and that's a huge win for Australian music.
See, so when Pearl Jam come back over, they have to get an Aussie support. After the interactions we're having now, you're either completely blacklisted or you're first on the list to be supported.
Look, if we're blacklisted then I guess we'll just have to keep touring on the Central Coast.
What a shame.
Yeah, but I'd love to meet you, Eddie. I'm sure you're a lovely dude.
You know his name. That's one more than we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool here. But that gig at Longevity, 29th, it's going to have Shacked, it's going to have Brandon Duff, great Central Coast collection there. What else can we promote right now while you have the floor in terms of upcoming Spicy Lemons gigs?
Oh, to be honest, this is a bit of the period where I've got to sit down and start booking shows again, because we just got through uni exams and everything, and I may have slacked off a little bit. So keep your eyes and ears peeled. There will be more shows to come up, but for the moment we're actually getting ourselves prepped to put out the next single, and I'll put it out here for anyone who's listening, for our second EP that's coming out at the end of the year. A lot more banjo than we've ever put out on a previous record.
Ooh.
So is this Luke putting his foot down and saying, I need to play more banjo on this band?
Yeah, it is.
Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah, I like playing it too much. And I mean, some of the songs, like before going to the studio, I was playing on guitar or bass or something like that. And then when we got into the studio, we're like, actually, I'm going to play banjo on this. And that's how it's kind of worked.
Yeah, we've even got I know there's some tracks where Luke played the accordion and the concertina.
Oh.
We got a little bit of the tin whistle going on in one of the tracks. Yeah,
Very
so we've got the
Irish.
full Irish
bringing all the
music.
folk in,
Like
yeah.
all the folk instruments came in. I played a bit of mandolin on one of the songs. We really just had fun with it, to be
So
honest.
your live shows are going to get more difficult by the sounds of it.
Might need to hire some people in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a distinct possibility.
How cool is that? So we've got that second EP. Do we have a name for the EP? Do we have a time frame?
The EP's still yet to be named.
That's
which
a
is,
weird name.
Yeah, that is a bit of an odd one. Look, I said we're a bit of an odd band. We kind of throw those curveballs out.
Let's go with Hug Your Mates. Let's use a quote from this episode.
Hey, you know what? That's actually pretty cool. I'm not going to lie.
That'll be I'm just going to watch this pan out, and when the EP is out, we'll check back in.
Yeah, we'll chuck a little Homebrewed logo on there.
We'll flick you our ABN and you can.
yeah, we'll get you sorted out.
No, we'll
Yeah.
just send a letter from our lawyers.
Cease and desist.
Nicest pie during the interview, and then bam, we'll take everything.
This is what we didn't teach you in the workshop.
Yeah, have your wits about you legally.
So it's EP's coming out this year.
Yeah, it'll be at the end of this year. I'll dare say before December, because that's when everyone's listening to their Wrapped for the year.
Ah.
Yeah.
See, this is something we discussed in our radio days about how much of a strategy it was. Like, when was the best months to be releasing, and we each had our own theories. So there is some strategy behind these releases other than it's ready, let's just release it into the world.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of strategy, which we definitely overlooked in the early days of being a band. But now, as I've kind of learnt a bit more about how the music world works beyond me playing a guitar and putting it on Spotify, there's a lot to it. It's like there's a lot of considerations, you know. When are the big international bands releasing their music? Because you don't want to be overshadowed by that. Like, you know, if it pops up and it's like Taylor Swift and then Spicy Lemons sitting as your two new songs of the day.
I'm going Spicy Lemons every day.
And I thank you for that. But most people won't.
Yeah.
That's just the correct choice, really.
It is.
Severe lack of banjos and too many in-tune vocal notes, to be honest.
Yeah, her voice is too perfect. It's just...
Yeah. And there's not a single lyric about being 4 years off your piece.
That's right. It's kind of very important.
And I doubt that she rocks up to interviews in Bunnings uniforms.
No, she would never wear a Bunnings uniform. Would you, Tay?
Does Taylor Swift even know what a Bunnings is?
No. Maybe, actually. She spent some time here.
Yeah, possibly. Who knows? Maybe a last-minute hardware run.
Now we're going to completely derail. What section in Bunnings do you work in?
So I'm just out the back. I just watch trucks get unloaded and then break down stock. So
That's
yeah.
right. So not in like kitchens or...
No. But
Can I
we got to
chime in on this?
Bunnings.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm also a Bunnings worker.
Zach,
Where-
have you been in Bunnings for work?
No, I have not. My childhood dream was always to be a motorsport journalist. So
Hardware didn't come into his dreams very often. So yeah, we're like 2/3 Bunnings supported. We haven't got the official endorsement yet.
Yes.
But yet. You know, we hold on to hope that we can hopefully in future release music that beats all other bands by 10%.
So
I can get around the sausage sizzle. That's about it, though.
Yeah, definitely.
can your next cover song at your next gig has to be the Bunnings theme? Or have you already done that?
Yeah. Oh, we did have fiddle around with it for a little bit, but we need to like properly work it out.
Well,
you know?
we do have another new cover song coming up for the Long Jetty Hotel show.
Very true. If you're a fan of beer, you should stick around. Where we've been inspired by commercials and jingles.
Yep.
And we're really just embracing a bit of some Aussie classics, you know?
There's a lot of good beer
This
ads.
is a big ad?
It's
that's
a
one of
big
my-
ad.
yeah.
It's like, I feel like pretty much anyone would know it,
Okay.
you know?
I love
Do you
it.
say you
Yeah.
feel like anyone would know it?
Yeah, I know. How do you feel, Zach? How do you feel?
Oh, well, I can't share anymore. I mean, I don't drink, so you shouldn't ask
That's
me.
true. We're asking the one teetotaler.
I dare say at Long Jetty Pub, you're going to find some pretty keen beer enthusiasts.
Yeah, that's what we kind of thought.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's the 29th of June alongside Brandon Duff and Shacked. It's a free entry as well. No 350 nosebleeds for
Yep.
the Long Jetty
Pearl who?
itself. But Spicy Lemons, guys, thanks so much for coming in. That was an absolute treat. Time has absolutely flown by.
It has indeed.
It has.
Thank you for having us. That was a fun one. That was
Thank you guys
awesome.
so much for coming in and taking the time. Thank you for sleeping in your car for a couple of hours before.
Yeah.
Anytime. I actually really enjoyed it, actually.
This man is good at snoozing.
Can you sleep anywhere? Because I'd like planes and like anywhere but my own bed. I can't really sleep.
Yeah, I never used to be able to, but I just kind of learnt how to. But I mean, like one time I had like a 16-hour flight or something, and I slept through all the food. So I didn't have anything to eat. But
Yeah, but I'm jealous of that because I'm the one who is awake for all the food, but then also awake for the 24-hour flight.
yes, no, I'm pretty lucky on that end. Yeah.
You want the food though, like that's pretty heavy. You wake up 3 separate times. And
Yeah, but you go to the airport. There's plenty of options. So
Yeah.
there is.
I'll chime in with some little bit of Spicy Lemon's lore here. Luke is so good at sleeping that on our track Sunny Life Stereo, he does not play a single instrument because when it got to his time to record his guitar part, I went to Luke, hey, it's like he was laying down having a snooze on the lounge in the studio. And I was like, hey Luke, it's your turn now. And he goes, you just do that bit. I want to sleep. And he curled back up. So that song is purely Zac and I.
Yeah, I don't take no credit for that song at all.
It's so awesome.
did you just not believe in the song? You thought, no, this one's going to tank. I don't want to be a part of it.
Oh, like I was a bit crooked to be honest, and I just don't think I could have played through it. I was just like, no, I need my rest. Yeah,
I love that. That's great. That is all the band.
Yeah.
I believe in Toby, and then I mean Toby's a much better guitarist than me anyway. So
Oh, stop it, you.
Let's get a room, you two. God.
And go back to the same room after school and confuse everyone.
Confuse everyone.
Yeah. So thanks, guys, coming in. You have to teach me how to fall asleep anywhere.
No
and you
worries.
also need to teach me how to play violin so we can get this piano violin
Sounds
thing
like a plan,
happening.
yeah.
Yeah, this intro's going to rip.
Ensemble. That's right. You just wait. It's only up from here. This episode of Homebrewed was produced by Rugby League immortal, amazing golfer, and good friend of mine, Cameron Smith. If you want to catch up with anything else we're doing on Homebrewed, you can catch it at www.homebrewed.au, and we will see you next time.